There was a time when Italy moved to the rhythm of small engines and big hopes. When freedom wasn't loud, it purred, chimed, clacked over rails, and rang the bell of a city tram turning the corner at dusk. There was a time when getting from here to there felt like a promise, and the road itself was part of the destination we shared. Before we start the engine of memory together, subscribe to The Italy We Remember. Every week we bring back the sounds, faces and machines that carried a nation forward. And if your family has a photo, a ticket stub, or a road story worth telling, write to stories@italyweremember.com. Your memory might steer one of our next films. We are going to travel through 25 forgotten vehicles that moved post-war Italy. Buses that stitched towns together, little cars that turned Sundays into journeys, motorbikes that made courtyards feel like ports, railcars and ferries that taught us to measure distance not in kilometers but in conversations. Some still exist, yes, but the versions we remember, the timbre of their engines, the way a seat felt on a hot day, the smell of oil and sea, live only in us. That's our curiosity today. How machines built for usefulness ended up carrying our love letters, our bread, our weddings, our lives. Close your eyes and let it be 1959, morning in a northern city. A green city tram sighs to a halt, doors folding open like a book, coins ring against metal. A conductor nods you in with a pencil behind his ear. Outside, a trolleybus hums along wires drawn across the sky like musical staves. Down the road, an Alfa Romeo city bus curves past a bakery, windows filled with faces going to work, to school, to wherever life isn't waiting but already happening. The air smells of espresso, steel, and a little rain. Movement is the country's mother tongue. We learned to read that language in many alphabets. In small towns, a country autobus arrived like the mail, on time or a little late, but always eventually, carrying workers, brides with flowers in paper cones, football teams singing badly on purpose. In the south, the regional coach stitched coast to hills, stopping at bars where drivers and passengers became neighbors for 10 minutes at a time, sharing cigarettes and weather reports. In cities, trams clicked through evening, as if counting the hours to dinner. Above them, trolleybuses wrote silent letters in sparks. Between streets and seas ran a different pulse, on rails and water. Diesel railcars chuffed into small stations at noon, bringing cousins from 2 valleys away, and the smell of lunch from a wagon window. Summer meant ferries, whose decks were sticky with salt and children's feet, the whole boat turning its head toward an island as if recognizing a friend. Winter meant funiculars, tugging up hills with the patience of saints, one car going up so the other could come down, teaching us balance with every trip. But the vehicles we held closest were the ones we could hold in our hands, or almost. The Vespa and the Lambretta gave us wind as a birthright, scarves snapping, knees together, 2 people riding like one sentence. The Piaggio Apes and the Innocenti Lambro were the working cousins, 3 wheels, little heart, big courage, delivering crates of fruit, paint, flowers, the morning's bread, the afternoon's hope. A Moto Guzzi Ercole growled through alleys with the dignity of a tractor in a suit, making the impossible look like chores. Bicycles did the rest, the postman's bike ringing a bell, the girl's bicycle leaning against a wall with a bag of bread in its basket, the factory shift spilling into a river of pedals at sunset. And then there were the small cars that made the country feel reachable. We remember the Fiat 500, of course, hope on a short wheelbase, but also the Fiat 600 multipla taxi with its face like a kind uncle, the Fiat 1100 Millicento humming through city canyons, the Campagnola dusted with countryside, the little Fiat 238 van that smelled of cardboard and coffee moving bands, brides and broken chairs to their next lives. Trucks had their saints too, The OM Leoncino and Fiat 682 that hauled stones, oranges, and the scaffolding of tomorrow across a peninsula that refused to be still. Each machine had its sound, the tram bell that said, "I am coming," the trolleybus hum that warmed the winter air, the railcar's horn that echoed between mountains like a shout from one village to another, the ferry's chime that made a port stand up and gather itself, the ape's nasal putter that told a town it would be fed, the Vespa's thin silver line of noise drawing a smile on an afternoon. Why do these vehicles matter? Because they turned strangers into fellow travelers. A city bus taught us to stand shoulder to shoulder without losing our names. A tram taught us patience. It comes when it comes, and yet it comes. A regional coach taught us to share. The last seat, the last lemon candy, the best story. A motor scooter taught us to trust, knees against a gas tank, chin tilted to wind. A three-wheeler taught us invention. When a road was too narrow for a truck, the road widened in the imagination. We ask, how many details did we overlook while rushing through them? The way a conductor tore a paper ticket with a flourish like a magician. The way the trolley poles traced small lightning against a winter sky. The way wooden tram seats polished themselves with use until they felt like family. The way bus windows fogged from conversation alone. The way a ferry deck felt under your feet, sticky, swaying, true. The way a railcar door needed a shoulder and a prayer on rainy days. The way a Vespa kickstart was a kind of vow. We go, even if we go slowly. There are stories we carry that belong to these seats, these handlebars, these decks. A bride crosses a city in a multipla, dress folded like a cloud, friends running alongside for one block and laughing until the driver rings the dashboard bell. A boy and his father ride the trolleybus to watch a football match, then ride home in a silence filled with the crowd's last shout. Two sisters in a regional bus share headphones when headphones haven't been invented yet. One ear each, the music coming from the radio above the driver where news and songs were the same channel. A fisherman leans against the rail of a ferry at dawn and teaches his grandson how to tell the weather from the water's color. The boy forgets the lesson, but never the smell. In the factories and fields, transport was more than movement, it was dignity. The work truck that left at night and returned at dawn with a different weight taught a family how to save. The tractor pulling a trailer full of grapes taught a town how to celebrate. The milk van at 5 in the morning taught a neighborhood how to wake. The postal van taught the country how to speak to itself, even when the news was slow and the roads were slower. We reached a moment when modernity promised to make things easier by making them invisible. Engines became quiet enough to forget. Doors opened with a whisper. Tickets vanished into screens. We gained comfort and lost a little chorus, the external proof that a nation was moving together in public, in the open. Our vehicles still carry us. They just tell fewer stories out loud. Here's where memory and motion meet, our small climax at a crossroads. It's evening in a hill town. The last tram of the day rolls through a street that's older than trams. The driver rings twice. A boy runs, falls, laughs, and is lifted aboard by the conductor, who pretends to scold him and then winks. In the distance, a railcar hums toward a station light as steady as a heartbeat. Down in the valley, a coach turns its headlights into commas on a sentence of road. On the ridge, a Vespa cuts the horizon like a signature. The town breathes. Movement writes the last line of the day. How do we bring that feeling back without pretending the past was perfect? We remember what it perfected, slowness shared, usefulness with grace, the public nature of travel. We can take the tram when it's easier to call a car. We can choose the train even if the car is faster. We can wave to a bus driver who has seen our face enough times to know our stop. We can take a ferry for no reason except to feel a city from its water. We can fix a bicycle. We can ride a scooter with a scarf for style and for the small ceremony of it. Tell us what carried you. Was it an OM truck that brought your father home at dawn, a trolleybus that passed your grandmother's window like a metronome, a ferry that taught you what home looks like from the sea, a funicular that rose with your pulse on the first day of work. Share your story in the comments, or send your photo, your ticket, your vehicle's nickname to stories@italywearemember.com. We'll feature the best in a future episode, so the line of travel never breaks. Subscribe to the Italy We Remember, so these wheels keep turning where memory needs them most. Next time, we might follow the night trains that stitched the peninsula together while everyone slept, or step into the depots and docks where hands that smelled of oil and salt made departures possible. For now, listen. A bell, a hum, a horn softened by distance, the old orchestra of a country in motion, playing us home.